Welcome to the October 22nd version of Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. A little chilly out here at Belmont, but
a little chilly, but we got some good races to warm you up.
Yeah, yes, we do. We're gonna cover a couple of races from last week. So last week's was obviously a short week, a 4-day week, and we're gonna go over 4 races from the New York Bred Showcase Day. But we're gonna start with a race from the 17th, which was, I think, last Thursday or Friday. I can't even remember at this point.
Friday. Yeah, the third race was a starter handicap, and a horse that really caught my attention there was the 5 Do I Have a Witness. First off, the claim for Bernardo Callejas. They claimed him for like 12,500, stepping way up into this tough spot. He went off 9-1 in the race, and there's a fair pace going on up front. 23-2, 46-4 the fractions. He's toward the back of the pack in the yellow silks, and we're going to see him as they move into the far turn start to make a pretty big move here. I thought a little bit of a premature move on Do I Have a Witness here, but he gets into contention very quickly here, and coming off the turn, he's going to be in front, and looks like he's got a commanding lead here.
Yeah, you're being generous. He made a very premature move in this race. Now, I don't think he was winning this race anyway.
No.
Golden Glen, who was the big favorite, was probably going to win this race, but there's no question he makes an extremely premature move into the lead here, and it looks like he's going to blow second, to be honest, at the top of the stretch, or at least at this point that horse is going to go by him, and I thought he did pretty well the whole second.
Yeah, that's what I was impressed by. I didn't really expect him after making that premature move to be able to hold off Golden Glen, who's really in great form right now, as a 3-5 favorite in this race. We're going to see Golden Glen go down to the inside, but Do I Have a Witness holds off Prince of Iron rather gamely to the outside, and the fact that this horse is a big step up in class. First off, the claim for trainer Bernardo Callejas. I think a more reasonable spot next time out, a mid-level claimer where you're not going to find a horse like Golden Glen. Do I Have a Witness will be the horse to beat in a race like this.
Yeah, a lot of things went well for him. Obviously, it was a pretty strong pace that collapsed in the race, but considering the premature move he made, I think he ran better than it looks on paper.
Next, we're going to take a look at the 7th race on Friday, and this was the number 9 horse, First of 10. Andy, you've had a long history with this horse. Why don't you take it away here?
Well, he's a horse that ran, I thought, a decent race when he broke his maiden at Aqueduct, and I picked him unsuccessfully a number of times, but he showed some life in a race at Saratoga, and he's the 9 horse here, breaking from post 8. We're going to take a look at the head on from the start, and, I don't know that he has that much trouble. In a sense, the rider, Jose Lescano, does a good job in getting him over to the inside at the beginning of the race into the first turn. And this is that tricky 1 1/8 race on the inner turf here. And here you see him going back to last, getting the rail. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a late closer, and the race eventually fell apart, and his position seemed okay at this point.
Yeah, he kind of broke out a little bit, it looked like, after the start. That might have cost him a little bit, but he is a closer. He does manage to save ground with him on the turn here, but coming up here, they're not really going to be able to hold First of 10 for too much longer. We'll see him on the screen as we switch to the pan shot here. He's making a huge move.
Right, another horse making a sort of strange premature move. Now they're going down the backstretch, and this is barely a half mile into the race, and now he suddenly rocketed up into 6th position, and I'm not really sure why you would do this, and he's out in the middle of the track. And of course, what happens after it is he ends up dropping right back to second to last to his original position before he made that move. So the horse has already expended one sort of middle move in the race to get himself nothing. Now maybe the horse was rank, he couldn't hold him, but the problem is he just did that move and he's dropping back once again in the pack. Now, on the inside of him, I believe, is the eventual winner of this race, William T. And First and 10 is sort of outside of him, and you'll see him steady a little bit back here, and he steadies to the back of the pack. William T now ahead of him. All of this could have been, there he is steadying, all of this could have been done without making any move whatsoever. And now William T has the jump on him, and he follows William T as they come in the stretch, who's splitting horses. He's in about 5th in the maroon, and First to 10 is behind him, and he has to wait a little for room because he sort of gets blind switched there as he goes inside, and then he has to angle out for room. And at this point, the eventual winner has about 1.5 lengths on him, and it's just too much to make up. And to me, First and 10 did a lot of running to finish where he did, and frankly, with a clean trip, he would have won this race.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That move he made on the start of the backstretch really, took away a lot of his energy for the stretch run, probably just having to expend that energy to move closer to the pace and then get in some trouble and be back to last where he was to start. Just didn't make too much sense to me there, but the First of 10, obviously, we're going to have to watch out for next time.
Yeah, well, I think he'll be tough at Aqueduct. Unfortunately, he was about 13-1 in this race, 11-1 or something, and he'll be a shorter price, but in the right spot at Aqueduct, I'll certainly take my chances with him. Again,
Yet again. We're going to take a look at a bunch of races from the showcase day here on Saturday. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Hudson Handicap. There's race number 6. The horse we're focusing in on here is the number 5, Megapixel, who has some trouble on the stretch now. Megapixel in this race went off a fairly decent price. I think he was about 10 to 1, 11 to 1. He's down inside now.
Note law enforcement also kind of stayed out between horses there. He's in the pink, plumbing the back of the pack. He ended up being almost easy in this race, but he obviously had some trouble. But anyway, Megapixel.
Yeah, so Megapixel's in here, and this is a horse that's been running against some 3-year-old state-bred stakes throughout the year, running well, but this was a big step up in class for him, facing horses like Rollers, Storm and Normandy, Ferocious Fires. It looks like he's getting a pretty good trip here tracking for Storm and Normandy, but things are going to get a little dicey for him down here. He's down inside on the rail, running in about 3rd position right now, actually, down inside in the whitish, powderish blue silks there, and he's just going to get trapped in this spot here. There's really nowhere for him to run here. Can't go down on the inside. It's just not enough room there. He's trapped in behind there. He's got to wait for those horses to clear off in front of him before he can get to the outside and make a run. And he does make a good late run here. He only gets beat maybe 1 3/4, so he makes up, maybe 2 lengths from the 8th pole down to the wire against top state-bred, sprinters. And I think as a 3-year-old, this horse shows he can run with some of the best ones, can improve a little bit, and he'll probably find some spots over at the Big A where he'll be a commanding force in a race.
I think he definitely shown that he's the one horse that made a step up in this race to belong in this group. Now, a negative on him is the rail was absolutely the place to be on Saturday and probably Sunday here. A lot of us thought it was a speed track.
I think it was more inside.
It was, but I think it was more of an inside track. I think of the first-time starter from Todd Pletcher that came up the rail at a big price on Sunday. And a lot of times people mistake inside tracks for speed tracks because invariably the leaders are often on the inside. Yeah. And so he was helped by being inside, but I agree the trouble. And he just ran well, and he's moved into this company. He's the one horse that took the step forward.
All right, that'll do it for the first segment of Trips and Traps. Don't forget the email address, tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. We love to hear all your opinions and thoughts, and hopefully you give us some material, because this week we're kind of running light on some races. We had to dig it a little bit, but hopefully you guys come up with some suggestions. We'll be right back with the second half of Trips and Traps.